Ladies and gentlemen, this is Shekhinah B reporting live right here at the Rotunda. Thank you so much for having me. This is our first installment of 2025's Creatives Chat series. And I want to do a little bit of housekeeping before I get started. First, for those that it's their first time coming out, Creatives Chat is a pop-up curated discussion. It's an event infusing creative industry topics, best practices, a bit of controversy, and live music, as you just saw earlier. Our guest panelists include artists, art enthusiasts who have made a significant impact on our creative ecosystem. So first, we'd like to thank the incredible team at the Rotunda. The Pennsylvania Council on the Arts. We'd like to thank Creative Philadelphia for Philly Jazz Month engagement support, which was responsible for the coverage of that incredible food, most of which is probably gone. But there's still some stuff. I heard the fried fish is still there. There's still some fried fish? Still some fried fish, okay. We also like to thank the West Philadelphia Arts Council, the Paul Robeson House and Museum, and the Sachs Program for Arts Innovation. And yes, so this is a series. It's not just a one-time event, and we are in, I want to say, our 4th or 5th year going into the Creatives Chat series, where we are having these conversations, eating good food, listening to good music, and learning something that is impactful for all of the local and global ecosystem of the creative community. So I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Shekhinah B. I'm the Executive Director of the Women's Coalition for Empowerment. I'm also the creative cultural producer. I want to do some housekeeping and introduce the team before I introduce this incredible panelist. First, I'd like to introduce the Key Doc himself.
Yes.
Mr. Phil Key Doc Collier on keys. Woo! Well, then we'd like to introduce my guy. He is a standby dude. You know, he spent the night here. No, I'm joking. He's always first. He will beat me to a gig no matter what. Mr. Derek Smith on drums.
Yeah.
Always. I'd like to acknowledge Jamie, also on videography.
Yay.
And the reason why I sound like a professional vocalist is because Styx Latte is doing sound.
Yes.
And shout out to Gina Renzi for helping me get all of these dates, because like we've been going back and forth in the emails, and she's the executive director of the Rotunda, and a lot of the curated opportunities that occur is as a result of her incorporation of allowing an equitable access to small communities like us that make an impact, but also like we recycle information, resources, and talent. So thank you, Gina, for doing everything that you do. I still owe you a spa date. And for each and every one of you that came out today, all 3,000 of you. Yeah, all 3,000 of you. Woo! All right, it's getting hot, y'all. It's getting hot. That hot sauce is hitting me now. First things first, I'm going to introduce these ladies, and I'm going to put your hand up because it's in order of my notes. So, yeah. So first, we'd like to introduce a Philly jazz vocalist, known as Philly's Class Act. You have to say it, act. A 2019 Philly Celebrates Jazz Award honoree, performed at the top venues, festivals, and on WRTI-FM. Her latest album, Celebration for Life, highlights her songwriting talents. Ella is traveling at the speed of swing. Please put your hands together for Ella Gahnt, which rhymes with DuPont. She took a crazy ride on her tour to come back here all the way from our nation's capital and said, Shekhinah, I'll be there. I said, we'll have that pasta salad for you, and you got to fight with Patrice over that pasta salad. So there's... Next, we have a globally recognized vocalist known for her soulful blend of R&B, gospel, jazz. She leads performances with Songbird and Company and B Smooth Band. Co-leads Ain't Nothing But a Party Band and the Funk Daddy Band, and lends her voice as background vocalist for Mary Cross and To Inspire You, a former co-lead vocalist for Sisters Attune. Michelle brings artistry, versatility, and heart to every stage. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Michelle Songbird Ray! And last but not least, See, everybody was working all weekend because we was all hustling. Well, we not all hustling making checks.
Yes.
A versatile actor, vocalist, musician with deep musical roots. I think second and third generation artist herself. After joining Sisters of Tune through a fateful and crazy audition, she continued building her career with appearances on Dope Thief, Long Bright River, most recently and notable Law and Order, and 825 Forest Road. She is now expanding her talents as a guitarist, hosting and performing at her first open mic event, which happened just yesterday. Monica Nika G. Fleurette, Les Plumes de l'étante. J'ai enfants. Okay, we're not J'ai. Every time I say her name,
That's
I have
that
to
Pepe
say
Le Pew.
Pepe Le Pew, J'ai pompon. Pompon?
You got
Pompon. Oh, yes, pompon. Pompon. So we're going to loosen up. So I want to tell you, these ladies right here to my left, your right. Is this my right? My right, your left. What was in the cheese? They have joined a revolving collective, which is a program project under the Women's Coalition for Empowerment known as Sisters Attune. It is an eclectic, spanning genre of women across the greater Philadelphia region that came together and we were doing shows. And I remember when Ella, you are officially the OG, I swear. And I remember the first time I said that at a show, I found out she was really a thug, right? That's when I found out. She said, what you said? She said, well, what that OG mean? I said, original gangster. Yeah. She's like, oh, I thought you said old G. I said, no, it's not, no. But Sisters Attune started to launch off. I don't know how we're going to get to the history, but
Yes.
I can make it quick. I can wrap it up. Let me see. I can do it quick. Okay, so Sisters Attune. And these are just 3 of the several vocalists that are in the city that have joined Sisters Attune. And I'm going to tell you, we have gone on a journey. I don't want to take up too much time and tell you my perspective because I want to give you guys an opportunity to lend your truth, unadulterated truth, to all the many, damn Monica, all the many experiences that we've had performing, doing concerts, the experience in the industry. So I'm going to ask some questions. I'm going to ask you to share your honest and unadulterated X-rated feedback. And we're going to also take it to the audience for inquiries. Okay? And please don't feel free to go and grab a plate. No one's seeing y'all on camera. It's just us right now. So feel free because there's plenty of food. Yes, that's right, Miss Brown. Yes, there she is. You can put the camera on her right there, on her right there. How y'all doing, front row? Y'all all right? Okay, so whoever wants to just jump out, Auntie Ella, you want to give a quick overview of looking back? Matter of fact, I think everybody should answer that. Looking back, which was one of the biggest challenges you faced during your time with Sisters Attune? Michelle's neck just sunk in.
Well, I've had experience for many years of working with the group. And I had, after being a part of the group that we had conceived, I had decided that I was going to go and do straight ahead jazz. And I did my first jazz gig in 1985. That's how far I could go back. So I had pretty much resigned myself that that's what I would be doing. But I met Shekhinah through another group, which was Diva Nation. And I saw how organized Shekhinah was, and just how thoughtful she was and how detailed she was. And that's what attracted me to be a part of Sisters Attune. This was something that she put together coming out of Diva Nation. And so I agreed to be a part of it. I said, well, whatever she's doing, I just want to be a part of it because I loved her organization and her crazy, because her crazy is similar to my crazy. So we started the group. Shekhinah asked me to do the background vocals, arrangements, and whatnot, which, you know, I had a bit of an expertise from my
a lot of expertise.
So I agreed to do that, and then she would bring to me, names of folks that she wanted to be a part of the group. And I think it was 6 or 7 of us when we started.
I guess I could name names. So originally when we started, we were all the former Diva Nation. It was yourself, me, Sauda Al-Akbar, Bethlehem Vocationist Robertson, Jakia Saunders, Batia.
Oh, Batia. And
Batia.
Alexis.
Alexa Gold. And did I miss anyone?
I think that was it.
From the original.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I learned is that somebody had the bright idea, because under Diva Nation, it wasn't like this group format. It was more like there were a bunch of singers, they did an ensemble show, and then at the end, it was like a finale. So we kind of did that our first show, which was 2017 at Venice Island.
Oh, Venice Island, right.
It was for Jazz Music Appreciation Month. And April. It was the Ella Festival 2017. And someone had the bright idea after we did it, because we turned it out. They said, why don't we sing together? Like throughout the whole show. And I'm gonna quote the sister that said that, and you can close up on this, Jamie. Make sure nothing's in my teeth. So Alexa Gold, this was your idea to have all the sisters do a group format performances throughout the whole show, which required a different type of commitment. But go on, I digress.
No, actually, that's so that's pretty much how it started. And then we've had so many different versions after that. But the thing that I've learned, and I still have to remember it, is that sometimes it's difficult, for, it's been all women, of course. And sometimes, even though we have the connotation about the diva, and we tried some of us couldn't help but be the diva, but basically we were trying to be, universal with everything that we did. And the hard part for me personally was just that with all the different personalities that we dealt with, some were more difficult than others.
She's so classy and tactful with that.
I always try to be, I'm not always successful, but I always try to be aware of people's feelings and whatnot, because I have feelings too. And that, there were times when we would have clashes and, whatnot, because of the different personalities, and some of the personalities were much stronger than others. I'm basically a laid-back, no-drama kind of gal, but occasionally I'll get into the drama because I'm pulled into it, so that happened a few times.
We found out quite early that Ella had a threshold for a certain a tenacity of personalities and just a lack of accountability, and we'll know it. I know it now, because her face, this lip on the side would go all the way up here, and that's when I know. And she'd be like, huh? And then she'd tilt her head, and then that's how I know. So, yeah. Monica, you joined circa, was it 22? 22? You joined before the pandemic, sis. You joined before the pandemic. See, she done cut off her hand, forgot the memory. So Monica had a unique experience that we didn't do. We didn't start it until Michelle joined. We started doing auditions. So I remember when we had audition, we had a formalized American Idol style audition experience.
Yeah, that was after we had some problems trying to maintain, so we decided.
Use the mic. Oh. You a singer. I told Styx to take away the mic stands. I said, she'll know. They singers, they know. But yeah.
After I told her to use the mic.
Tell us.
We were grabbing parts and just grabbing people and whatnot initially, but after that didn't work, as well as we wanted it to. Then we decided to try to formalize it, and we worked out how we were going to do the auditions and, the different levels of auditions and the different...
I can't look at Monica right now.
The different types of songs that we were going to be challenging, for folks to find out whether they could sing harmony or sing together, or whether they would even... And they had... we gave them the assignment ahead of time. We gave them information and songs and whatnot to listen to, so it also let us know who actually would do the homework. So that was that was interesting.
I'm gonna just say special mention for the sister that tried to come in on a virtual call. That was, she actually could sing, but we wanted to give preference for those that actually showed up in person. You weren't aware of that, Monica, but that's a whole, Tell us about your experience when you auditioned.
My experience was interesting, to say the least. But it wasn't a terrible thing. I came in and there were people who were also auditioning. Shout out to the lady in the tap dancing situation.
Oh, yeah.
Because that confused me.
It was a vocal audition, and she soft shoed her way in, and we had to soft shoe her out the door.
That confused me. I was like, oh, we doing other talents? I didn't know. But it was a pretty straightforward audition. Outside of conquering the wall that was Shekhinah at the time, I didn't know what to expect. But it was an opportunity for me to see everyone and because sometimes you go to auditions and you don't meet everybody. So it gave me a chance for me to see and evaluate how each of the people in the group reacted and things like that. And then also helped me make my decision on whether or not, okay, well, she's cool.
And that was about me, because she said, Shekhinah, you look scary sitting there. And I'm just like, I literally, do I have a scary face?
You was just stone cold. You were very stone, yes.
Was that before my dental work, or was that might have been before my dental work? I don't, we're all smiles now.
I don't know, but it was just you were very stone cold. And I was like, I'm not sure how this is working. I'm not sure if she's feeling me or whatever. But I mean, listening to all of the other ladies in the group and whatever else, and just being able to sing with y'all, that was a good thing as well. But I enjoyed it. I did walk out of there I'm not sure how I did, but
Do you remember? I'm just a quick question. Do you remember who all was there when the other girls that were there?
No, I don't know. I didn't know any of them.
I never forgot them.
Oh. I do. I
see them in the industry, though. I mean, I see them. Sometimes it's not about whether or not you're talented per se. It's more like, can you fit into what we were trying to do?
Right.
So, that's really what it was for.
Yeah, but for the most part, it was cool.
Yeah. I just want to give a quick moment to say, Mr. Arthur McDougal-Carr, there is a plate with fish and pasta salad and string beans in that white bag under the table in the plastic bag. I saved it for you because I knew you were going to make you didn't look happy when you walked over there. I saw that. I tried, brother. I tried. I'm sorry. Continue, sis.
Okay. So that was pretty much it. It was just pretty straightforward, pretty, it was a good audition. It was good. It was good. I had questions about some of the people who were there, but other than that, I was like, all right. But we were good. It's good. All good.
Now, Shelly Ray, she was the first generation of the auditions before we formalized it. And I think at the time, it was myself, it was you, Auntie Ella, it was Chris, it was Little Al. I don't know, I think Lenny was there. I'm not sure, it was somebody else there. But we were in his basement, and Michelle came down. I said, okay, she got good cheekbones, all right. She's a little tall, I like tall sisters. And she came in, and when she sang, she blew my ear off because she was so voluminous. I said, oh, well, she a powerhouse. Okay, I said, I'll forgive the fact that she here about 5 minutes late, but I guess she had to find how to get to the back. But you did the daggone thing. You definitely impressed me, and you weren't scared.
Thank you. Correction.
Uh-oh.
I was terrified. So let me back up my personal story. Okay. I was invited to World Cafe Live by Little Al, because he was performing the same night as Sisters of Tune, and I hadn't heard of Sisters of Tune, but Darian Ebo, who plays percussion, he was like, oh, they're wonderful. He was like, you got to come out. So I came out that night, and I remember seeing everybody on stage, and I was like, oh my gosh, these beautiful women, they doing their thing, they're harmonizing, and I remember Shekhinah saying best part.
Okay.
And I just remember saying, she is scary. Like, scary in a good way, because I was just like, her voice was ridiculous. So I was like, and I mean, but all of them that performed that night were just awesome.
I gotta smile more or something. Like, what do I look? Do I look scary?
You're
You gonna say yes?
So when I showed up to the audition, and it was in the basement, and I remember we were all, when I say we were doing the audition, and I had somebody right here, and I had somebody right here, and I had somebody right here, and I just remember.
Oh yeah, we was in Chris' basement.
Yeah, so it was so tight, but I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna try to get through this. And I don't even think I had my eyes open.
You know what? We were trying to figure out because a lot of singers will say they can sing harmony.
Right.
So like a triad is one thing, but like if you could kind of be thrown into a situation, and we chose like a specific song. So we were just like, all right, whoever got the medley was quick enough to catch it. Whoever's on the top was quick enough to catch it. Now them other notes, good luck.
Right,
Good luck.
right. And I remember us not. I just remember us not blending that well, so I wasn't sure who was going to be chosen that night.
We knew.
Yeah, and and I remember the young lady from Delaware. I remember her being really good.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
and then, yeah.
Tamika.
Tamika.
She is a
Yes.
phenomenal vocalist.
She was
and
a
artist.
shout out to Tamika. So I wasn't sure if I was going to get called. And I get called. I was like, oh, wow, this is great. And then we met in West Philly. Over
at the community center over
was
there
community
on
center.
what is that, Spruce Street?
Yes.
Spruce Street, yeah.
And I happened to, I had my father that day. So, and I was taking him back. It was a packed day. I was taking him back to Maryland. And my father is going through some health issues. So I was like, wait in the car. Wait in the car. And I looked out the window. I was probably up there 2 minutes, looked out the window, and now he's just wandering up the street. I said, oh my gosh. So my father ended up being part of the workshop, of which I wasn't sure if I was going to get invited back from that day either, because not only was he busy, then it was an exercise that you did where we stood in the
industry
back,
line,
and if you had experience in something, you stepped forward.
Yeah.
So
was it forward or
I think,
forward?
yeah, I think it was forward.
Because you all started in the same line.
So it was a few of us that was like back there for a minute.
Okay, so the exercise was about it was a humbling but also a realistic perspective on because some people will say and refer to themselves as a professional vocalist, and that's defined, it's a subjective term that could be used for a lot of different reasons. So I was just like, okay, well, how many of you had sold out concerts? Who has charted on any billboard? Who has toured? Who actually has a project out? And we went basic as like, do you have a website? Do you have your own band? Do you have a social media presence? Like just certain things just to see where we were. And some people, and it wasn't about selecting anybody at that point. What I thoroughly loved about when you brought your father was because I said, she is somebody who is not gonna make excuses as to why she can't show up. So I took that as you were committed to the project. not like, oh, well, no, whether you had your dad, your kid, the cat, dog, you know. I looked at that as commitment, even if my face said otherwise. I haven't even started Botox yet, and y'all talking about I'm stone-faced now? Wow. Okay.
But I remember that exercise specifically because, like you said, very humbling because, and it was never where I thought of myself as a professional. It was where, you know, I certainly enjoyed what I was doing. And I had some stage experience, but when you started asking all those questions, I was like, wow, I'm really like entry level in this, you know, and it helped me start to, even though it was intimidating with how much you have to do to, you know, be established, it still helped to have a landmark of where to go. So I appreciated that.
And even now it's worse. It's much worse than it was then. The digital media is just, and I'm old school, so I'm really having I'm having a bit of a time.
Might need to sell some CDs out the back of your car.
Yeah, I have a couple of CDs with me. If anybody's interested.
So when Sisters of Tune was formed, my big thing was get funding, and that's something that once the end of Diva Nation was given like a seed funding from Philly Jazz Project.
Yeah, Philly Jazz, which was run by Homer Jackson.
The late Homer Jackson.
The late Homer Jackson.
Mm-hmm. He gave them some seed funding, and I guess I heard that they was paying singers to sing like a certain amount of money, and I was like, oh, I need to sign up. Where do I sign up? And by the time I joined, they ran out of money, child. So when they ran out of the money, I said, well, we need to talk about making money, because we did a couple of shows once the money kind of was done. And there just wasn't really a plan of action, how to move forward. And I said, well, you know, I can make you an offer you can't refuse. And Ella was like, I'm with you. And I said, okay, we're going to put together the 5 families. And I said, I need you to take over the east side of Philly. I'm going to take over the south and the west side. We'll find some girls to do the north side. And then we started working our way through the system, and literally our first official contract was with the Barnes Foundation. And the Barnes Foundation, full circle moment, I did a show that was partly curated by Kathleen Green. And I did a show at her private residence on Friday. And she was the former curator at the Barnes Foundation, and that was 2017. So that was our first contract, and she was like, Shekhinah, we got to bring you guys back. You know, but we learned some experiences that the professional etiquette isn't shared by everybody in the industry. So you find Philly is, you could throw a rock and find 2,000 talented people, but everyone doesn't have I'll let you speak to that. I'm gonna smile more.
Are you passing it to me?
I'm passing it to y'all.
To us.
Monica, you speak on that. You speak.
I will say this. Coming into this, I was new to it all. So I would have been on that line until the end. Until the end. But I learned a lot. I learned that, like you said, everybody is doesn't have professional etiquette. I learned that sometimes people just don't show up at all and never tell you that they're not going to be there. Being with you all opened my eyes to a lot as far as the music industry is concerned. And it was just, it was one of those things that had me thinking, like, is this where you want to go? Like, you sure you want to enter into this world? But yes, but it helped me to be more cautious, more selective, much more professional. It just really helped me to see. Like, I never knew. Like, I just thought musicians show up or singers show up because you got a job to do, and that's what you do because you show up on your job. So I just assumed that that's the way things worked, and then I was terribly wrong. I was wrong, but yeah. So
Can I open up and tell you that I learned so much. I thought I knew. I made a lot of mistakes with being an artist, but also like trying to creative cultural produce in this. And I think I was getting my bones with Sisters of Tune. I literally got my bones, because now I could be thrown in any situation. Now I'm ready for it. I'm like, well, what we gonna do? How y'all want it? You know, who coming? How we all getting it done? But it's gonna get done. I didn't know that the selective, when you talk about being selective, that part for me wasn't, I thought, oh, if you just pay these people the money, they'll show up. If you just be nice to them, they'll show up. If you smile, they'll show up. That's not, no. And when I mean showing up, I don't mean just being there, but actually do the full scope of the job. I found out the hard way that was not the case. And you realize why the struggling artist narrative is so prevalent in a very concentrated, talented city like Philadelphia. And most of the artists here are not financially, socially, emotionally, professionally successful. And I didn't get it for a long time. And I was just like, all right, maybe I need to make more money. I need to get more gigs. We were getting work. We were getting work. We even went overseas.
Yeah, I missed that one.
You missed that one.
Yeah.
Shelly, you want to talk about our Cuban experience with the busted leg?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So in April 2019, I busted just about everything in my left knee. ACL, MCL, it just looked like, all the L's. Just looked like the mangled spaghetti. And we had a trip planned to Cuba in July over Independence weekend, because they celebrate they have their own version of Independence Day there. And so first was the video shoot.
Child, when we all look like transvestites. That one. So my brother is still mad at me to this day about that video.
Yeah.
He was like, why y'all look like drag queens? I was like, we weren't trying to look like that.
It was very challenging. It was very challenging because, like you said about the professionalism, the videographer,
he was crazy.
And he didn't know what he was doing. So because he didn't know what he was doing, we had to just keep doing take after take after take. And I just remember thinking, I'm just gonna end up laying out on this floor, because I had the cast on. I had the brace or something, and was in extreme pain, and this man just kept having us stand and all this. It was just crazy.
And he had no filter on that horrible 1897 camera.
No filter.
Shout out to Jason and Jamie for having filters, knowing that I don't have to wear as much makeup these days. I'm working on my skincare routine, but I need for the technology to do what it's going to do for me.
Yes,
thank you.
Yes. So but we ended up getting that was how we ended up getting the contract.
So
amazingly enough, because
with that video of all videos,
till we got to Cuba and realized why.
Right. Child. Cuba was an experience.
Oh, that was an experience.
Plantain man, I'm glad we made it safe. Plantain brother.
Yes, we made it safe. We made it safely through the country, made it safely back home. But as much as it was challenging, because I was actually the only sister that was able to travel with Shekhinah, and we had a couple of other people, and then here I am, the lame one that everybody has to assist.
Not at all. I never looked at it that. Can I tell you, no, Michelle, we are not going down. You ain't going to say lame in my presence. No. Nope, Noski. So let me say this. Her level of commitment and tenacity, you had the gimp leg, right? But you hopped. You hopped through. We were in the festival, and it was 3,000 degrees. And Cuba heat is unlike, because we're in Santiago de Cuba, which is Afro-Cuba next to Guantanamo Bay.
Yes.
So that is the hottest place. It's that angry sun from Super Mario Brothers that just, and the angry sun is following you. I never seen, you have to take about, and no lie, 3 to 4 showers a day. Yeah. The deodorant did nothing. And we were in this festival, and the Cuban community organization style very much differs from ours, and their concept of time was very different.
Yes.
So we showed up, we got our passes, and we're in this thing, and you stood there 5 toes down, hopped along the whole way you never complained, and you would have been well within your right to complain about all of it, because it was insanity. You never complained, you never changed your attitude, you stayed professional the entire time. So that motivated me to be like, Michelle's not complaining, we really doing what we need to, we got to do what we have to do. Yeah. So, because certainly you better than me, because I'd have been complaining. I'm sorry, but you did not complain one time. You were just like, all right, we out here at this time, all right, and the streets are not ideal for people who have like challenges with mobility.
Right.
You don't even want to wear no good shoe out there. You wearing flat sneakers. Yeah. You don't even want to wear a flip-flop out there. Yeah. So their roads are different. Their beaches are different. And you did not complain one time. Auntie Ellie, you probably would have died out there. I'm gonna be honest with you, because you wear the head wraps and your head you would have fried your brain in that place. It wouldn't have been a good idea for you. And Mr. Leon needed you at the time, and he rest in peace. He needed you. So Monica wasn't quite with us at that time. Yeah.
You wasn't born yet.
She wasn't born yet. She wasn't born yet.
Into the group.
Have any of you experienced like specific industry barriers as a Black woman in the arts? And what way was being a part of Sisters Attune, in what way did Sisters Attune experience help you with going through those obstacles? Ooh. Do, 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 do.
Can you run that by me again? Just ponder on that.
What systemic or industry-specific barriers have you encountered as a Black woman in the arts? And in what ways did being a part of Sisters Attune help you face those obstacles? Still facing them?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how to answer that one. That's
Now, Monica, you were just on Law and Order. And I saw the episode.
Did very well.
Very well.
yeah.
I will say this. Law and Order, being on that entire set, I had, let me not say that.
I'm sorry. Is there an NDA? Is this like a NDA?
Yeah, let me be careful.
Well, we're gonna just cut that out.
Yeah,
Never mind. She signed a Diddy deal. Sorry, we won't talk about that
Let's
today.
just say I'm a SAG union.
Oh.
I'm a union actor.
Right.
And so we just have to be
Careful.
very careful about what we say because the industry is small.
Okay. Well, let's take acting out of it and let's go with performance and music.
As in music, like I will be honest, I really don't recognize a lot of that. I could be in a bubble. Mm-hmm. I could be I just don't feel it a lot of times. The discrimination, the racism, any of that, I don't feel it. And that could just be attributed to me, and I'm just like, hey, how you doing? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? You know what I mean? And I'm just laughing in my own world. I'm just pleasant, and I go about my business, so I don't really stop and I don't want to say attract the negativity, but I don't notice it a lot of times because my focus is elsewhere. Mm-hmm. And I'm not necessarily saying that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's just kind of the way I've grown up like that. Okay. Like I never really tuned into if I was being discriminated against. If I was, I didn't really feel it. And I will say I'm kind of blessed in that way because I know there are others who have a way different experience. But as far as being with you all and you know, it's just, I never felt that, and I'm thankful for that.
I don't think I felt it either. As far as being a part of Sisters Attune, I never felt it because of our sisterhood, that was always present. Even when we had the disagreements and the difficulties and whatnot, our sisterhood was pretty much present. Basically, for most of us, there were a few times when, the drama of the people got so intense that they didn't, they weren't able to deal with it, But the main issue I have, I guess, is just, always being different. When everybody is going right, I'm going left. That's just been my struggle to go upstream all my life. So I guess that's where I've had my experiences based on that. But they've just been my own, and I made choices, and damn the torpedoes. That's just how I approached things.
I would say that mine is similar to yours, but definitely, and I feel that we probably didn't feel it, at least in Sisters of Tune, because you were the one that was handling the contract part.
Right.
So you're the one that was dealing with the, oh, we'll get back to you, or how about we schedule next year, just to put you off and stuff. And I haven't experienced that with my unit, only because most of the events that I book are referrals. But working with the party bands, I've seen that. I've seen where we have worked at a place a couple of times. The crowd is decent. I see people drinking. I see people eating. And then all of a sudden it comes to, oh well, you're just not bringing in as much revenue as the other bands, and we're like,
The right fit.
yeah, or you're not the right fit, or you're this, and then we go to see the other bands that are there, and I'm like,
Womp, womp,
yeah,
womp.
half of the crowd, it's always, and it'll even be where they blame us for the weather, they blame us for the traffic, or something like that, and it's more the mainstream establishments that we find that. So it's where they always bring it as from an economic perspective, but we know what it is.
I'm going to say that industry-specific barriers were very clear to me early on, and that's what made me realize I need to stop looking for jobs and create them. So I stopped trying to, quote-unquote, break into certain situations, and at this point, I'm like, I have partnerships, and I'm partnering because I'm bringing something that is tasteful, mutually beneficial, financially beneficial, and I command a quality of talent, professionalism that you're not really going to find in Philadelphia in the same way. Not saying that there aren't professional collectives and groups, but you can attest that I run a tight ship.
That's
Oh yes.
That's
I run a tight ship. So the number one thing I realized what set me apart from a lot of my peers in the industry was they were talented. Several was way more talented than me. And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna just sing better, I'm gonna sing longer, I'm gonna do this, and then doing all of that. And then I realized, I said, wait a minute, there's something I could bring that they are never gonna bring. You know what that is? Anybody in the audience know what that is? Peace of mind to whomever's hiring me, which is a part of my work ethic, yes. So when I tell them peace of mind, you're gonna have peace of mind. So sign this contract, yes, these are the numbers we're bringing, these are the numbers that we can move. When I tell them peace of mind, they don't care about the talent at this point. So then my counterparts, how did y'all get in there? How y'all? People don't know, like, they see me in certain places and they're like, wait, Shekhinah's and her team is running the whole series on it. I can sing better than this person, I can play better than this person, and Key Doc, I could do more than Key Doc. Key Doc, you fell asleep. No, I'm messing with you. But when I tell him, I said, nah, baby, we gonna show up and we gonna show out. We gonna come out, we gonna turn it out, we gonna look good doing it, and you're gonna want us back here again. So that's something that I stand by it. It's a product that speaks for itself, and I embody it, and I want the people around me to also embody that. So that's why, sometimes I may have been a little hard on y'all. I just want to tell you right now, in front of these thousands of people, both here and online streaming on our YouTube channel. Shout out to the WCE Inc.
But
I'm sorry.
For me, in the jazz community, there is a certain kind of difficulty because there are not as many jazz venues now as there were many years ago. So that presents a certain amount of difficulty. And then you have, the culture difference and all that. So I've experienced it from that point of view. But
jazz runs Philadelphia, for real. It's changing now.
I guess I haven't seen that part of it. Or unless I've been working kind of like
in a silo,
off the side, going through some of the personal issues that I had, and being a part of a dynasty that was already created, Leon Mitchell. My husband, he's been going for about 2.5 years now. Leon Mitchell was well known in the jazz community, and he's worked with like just about a lot of the major artists. He's also worked with Philly International folks and whatnot. So he had a history. So I kind of came in behind his history and then tried to figure out what my history was going to be. So after, just before he passed, I guess before that, when he had a big band and I was a part of the big band. So I was basically kind of following his dream. And then I decided to try to follow my own, and that's kind of what I'm doing now. But there's just not as many jazz venues, and then the jazz venues that there are have been pretty much taken over by pretty much the same folks, who
they could keep them because they're not making no money in there. They could keep them on CLA. They're not making any money in there.
Well, there's really two major ones, and that's South Jazz Kitchen, the 600 block of North Broad, and Chris's Jazz Cafe. Those are the two main ones.
Well,
many years ago, there used to be Ortlieb's and so many other places where you could go and just jam. Now it's not the same.
According to research on the industry, Chris Jazz Cafe allegedly has been accused of not really paying the artist very well at all. One artist in particular just publicized that he made less than $2 an hour working at Chris Jazz Cafe. Allegedly. Also, let's be very clear. This city had a very strong jazz and gospel presence, and that has shifted because the community now wants something different. And I think the evolution of jazz shouldn't be this exclusive thing of a very specific genre and execution of the genre itself. And I love that we're always open to expanding that genre possibilities. And it encompasses a lot of inherent Black music. So it's like some jazz kids, they see me in certain places and they're like, how'd she get in here? Shekhinah B, she's not a jazz vocalist. You daggone right I ain't no jazz vocalist. I'll never tell anybody that. I'll sing a jazz song, but I'm not a jazz vocalist. And there is a distinct difference, for real.
Well, the other advantage we have too is there are a few organizations that are specific to jazz. Jazz Bridge is one. And
I have definitely been on their stages, and I'm not a jazz vocalist.
And they have neighborhood concerts, so that's kind of helping. They're a nonprofit organization that helps jazz and blues musicians in times of crisis.
Can you help that microphone get closer to your lips?
I'm sorry.
Because now, you see, Styx, I'm so sorry that I told you to move them mic stands because, Auntie Ellie, you're making me look bad in front of the people now.
I'm so sorry. I am...
We're going to have to adjust the audio in the editing process now.
Yeah, I had a hard last week.
She been
I
on
traveled to Maryland and D.C. I did a concert at a club called Mr. Henry's in Washington, D.C. And it was a concert called Ella Sings Ella. It was a tribute to the First Lady of Jazz, Ella Fitzgerald. And I basically left it all on that stage. It was very difficult because a lot of stress was involved at first because I didn't know if we would get any people coming in. Our crowd was light, but it was better than I expected. It worked out much better than I expected because I did the concert when I first met Shekhinah, and it's funny, it was the same year, 2017, where a lot of the stuff was happening.
Yeah,
and
me and Eric, we went to the concert.
Yeah, I did the concert at the Clef Club. But that was back when Don Gardner was the facilities manager, and we basically shared, the whole development of the concert, So fast forward now to but when I did it back then, I basically focused on Ella Fitzgerald's music. But this time I had to focus on her story and tell stories about her because the curator wanted people to walk away feeling like they learned something about her that they didn't know before. So I had to get into her history. It took me months to work on a dialogue and the songs that went with the dialogue and whatnot. So I was just so apprehensive about how I was going to get through it. I had great musicians that I worked with, and I was just worn out, So I left it all, and it turned out to be fantastic. It's on. There's some links. There are some videos on Facebook, just a few videos and some pictures and whatnot. If you friend me on Facebook, then you'll see. So my brain is just.
It's all right, Auntie Ella. I'm just glad that she was able to be here because Auntie Ella, we could hang. Like, we really could hang. I ain't trying to have her out because I knew she had a rough weekend. So I'm going to skip the questions. I'm going to skip a couple of questions because I know on time we running a little overtime. Is that all right? Is everybody cool?
I'm cool. I don't know about y'all.
Gina, we good? All right, we good. All right. Question. That's, I'm sorry. Financial sustainability. It's very tough in our field. Your neck got real stiff, Michelle. How have you been managing the balance between artistic freedom and financial responsibility? I'm sorry, is there something in your mouth, darling? Like an answer?
How have I handled, say it again?
Doesn't your brain just kind of
Financial
shut down?
sustainability.
It shuts down, doesn't it?
See, Michelle did not want to do this, and she thought I was going to Wendy Williams her up here. She thought I was going to bring out some weirdo in the back. Like, I mean, she like, well, I want to see the questions. Sis, I'm going to lie and rearrange the questions anyway. I don't need these questions. Financial sustainability, artistic freedom.
So, I'm probably not the best person to answer that question, and I only say that
She's rich.
no, and I only say no.
What you talking about?
She's rich. She got money in her pockets.
I only say that because when I think of artistic expression, I think of original artists. So,
I disagree.
okay.
I disagree, and when you say that, it ruffles my feathers.
I mean,
Because artistic is subjective, but the execution of art is artistry,
true.
whether
Very
you
true.
identify as an artist or not.
Very true. Okay, so, well, one, I also, can't relate totally, only because this is my part-time. Like, I have a full-time. So
Could you live off that music money?
Nah, let me tell you something. I filed taxes for the first time.
On the business
as an
taxes?
LLC.
How was that?
And I made more than I thought,
Okay.
but I didn't, like, if that was my only income, I would have definitely owed Uncle Sam because I didn't put out as much as I
Brought in. Fair.
So I was like, ooh, I'm glad the pay taxes, a lot of taxes over here. But I do find that sometimes it's difficult in terms of who books you, because they'll let you know, like, the audience is expecting a certain sound. Mm-hmm. And, if you're doing covers, you're happy to get the booking, but now you might have to adjust your whole set list. You might even have to learn a whole new genre because you just so happy about booking this event, and you're like, I've never really done 80s rock, but
Oh, girl.
I'm gonna try it.
Girl.
I'm gonna try to give it a go. So, and sometimes it can be successful, and sometimes it can, you
Not
know,
so much.
yeah, where they're like, yeah, you're a one and done.
Well, I mean, I ain't gonna hold you. That one be like, at least I got one, and you can still say I was there.
Yeah, right.
I was there. But like sometimes like genres, when they say they want a black singer, that don't mean they want the black sound.
Right.
And I learned that in
Right.
corporate because when I came in, and this is when I had like afro, and I came in and they were just like, who's this skinny girl with the big hair? Like, who? And they was like, well, can you sing this? Freaked them out though, because I was singing some black stuff, and then they were just like, well, can you sing this? And I was like, you change your mind, just like girl changes clothes. You be a mess like I would know when you're hot, when you're cold, you're yes, when you're no, you're in, when you're out. But see, they didn't know I could sing black too, though. Mm-hmm. And then when I sang the other way, they were just like, oh, she could sing that and the other stuff. So in corporate, you got to do it all.
Yeah.
You got to do it all on the black scene. But I always am nervous when I'm singing for black people.
Yeah.
Always, because especially in Philly, the black crowd is rough. Because you don't know, like, if the black crowd rocks with you, then you know you good. Mm-hmm. But if they don't rock with you, you might just be good enough for the white crowd. And it's crazy, but sometimes it's like that. It's not to say that you're not good. It's just sometimes the black audience wants you to, oh, and I am telling you.
Right.
And it's just like, I don't want to scream on every song because I need to work, for the rest of the year. So I'm not trying to lose my throat goals for. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Oof.
Yeah, I found that because before I started with the bands, I had been in church choirs forever.
Yeah.
And you never get any discouragement there. You never get any.
They be lying to people at the church. I'm sorry. They be lying, y'all.
I'm not saying that, but, it's just that culture of, even if somebody is just.
That's all right,
absolutely
baby.
Horrible.
That's all right, baby.
You're gonna hear that's all right, baby. Let them use you. Let them use you. Mm-hmm. You're gonna hear that. So when you then approach a secular environment, and they're like, get up out of here, and you're like, whoa, like it really can rattle you, or it can cause you to be stronger because you're like, okay, I obviously need to work on some things.
It's fair.
and still be confident in what I want to bring.
Speaking of confidence, has anybody ever had like criticism where it like diminished your confidence as an artist? I have.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I was told years ago we had a group together, and we were trying to work with different musicians and whatnot. And fortunately or unfortunately, we kind of tried to establish ourselves as an R&B group. The group was called Instruments and Voices. It was part of Leon and my concept, that the voices were the instruments and the instruments were the voices. And we would take horn lines out of records, and we would sing the horn lines, like especially Earth, Wind, and Fire stuff.
Can you give us an example?
Oh, I'm trying to think.
Where the world?
Oh, I can tell you the one, and this one that we did.
Oh, yeah.
For a while.
Yes.
I don't remember the words. Something happened along the way. Anyway, that is what we did. All the the lines that would normally be played by the instruments, we sang those lines, which is what we did when we did it. That was only because I took the arrangement that we did from back in the day.
Monica, you was leading on that song too. And why you say it like? Why you look like that? You like, yeah. Excuse me.
I be doing things I didn't do before. So
This is So you spoke yesterday at your show, your debut performance as Nick. I'm not gonna look at her.
I'm full of things.
I did go, and I enjoyed the diversity. I enjoyed the fact that you took it to Broadway. You did some like Tracy Chapman. First of all, Art, you would have been proud. She did Rochelle Farrell. Like, she definitely did. She did. I don't touch. There are singers who's I don't touch Whitney. I don't touch Mariah. I don't touch Celine, and I certainly do not touch Rochelle. I don't. I don't.
Yeah.
What you said? You sit down. you keep quiet.
He said you're going to change some of that.
He going to change. Because you attacked multiple different artists and genres from one end of the spectrum to the other, and that is paramount. I think diversity is key because sometimes performers, influencers will find themselves in situations where you're asked to do things and you have to like be a little bit flexible with your abilities, and sometimes that comfort zone may keep you stuck in a situation. So I realized doing corporate, and corporate, for those that don't know, is like either singing in a wedding bands or private gigs. They're not always public, and they're usually higher paying opportunities. What I noticed was that, okay, if I stick with, it's just a fact, fight me on it. If I stick with only black music, and I only have the black sound, and I only have the black audience, I'm leaving out a diversity of dollars and opportunities on the table. So when I started to, open up the palette of genres and music, it opened up opportunities. And now I could go anywhere. They like, Shekhinah, we need you to do classical. Now, classical? Like, were you trained? You saw me, I was in a 50-piece orchestra. Yeah. They incorporated vocals. We got paid real nice. That was 2022. Sun Ra Orchestra, Ursula Rucker was another feature. And I was surrounded by people who had degrees, like people with doctorates in music, but I was selected to be a part of this project. Patrice, you were there. And they were like, can you sing classical music? I said, yeah. Yeah. They said, all right, here's the chart. And I said, you got the track? You got the track? And we did that. And they were just like, all right, well, boom. And it was very improv, experimental music. And I'm going to tell you, singing in the cold at Cherry Street in the spring after the winter really put a lot of things into perspective of like, there's nothing I can't do for the right opportunity, professionally, musically, and if it's something that meets my ethical values, I certainly will assign myself to that opportunity. And I will sing the classical music. Not now. I mean, they not.
I forgot to mention, I was leading up to that about being something affecting you where it changed your whole thing and you don't even want.
You're right.
One of the musicians that had auditioned with the group that we had together thought he told me and Leon that I sounded like Ethel Merman.
Who that?
Interesting.
Who's
Interesting. That? Ethel Merman was like Ethel Merman.
Yeah, come on. Even I know who Ethel Merman is.
I mean,
hold up. Does anybody else in the audience know who Ethel Merman is? Raise your hands. Okay. Do y'all know who Ethel Merman is? You know her too? Or that's your cousin? Block this out of the video.
No, that was Ethel. That was another Ethel. Ethel Merman was one of these big voice singers. I'm trying to think of her big song, like God Bless America. I never, in my wildest, dizziest daydreams, ever sounded like no.
Well, if that's what she sounded
Ethel
like,
Merman.
that wasn't bad. Like
no, she didn't sound like that. She had this big screaming, but you know what Ethel? Can anybody remember what her big song was? I can't remember. It was.
Babe, you know Ethel Merman?
Oh. Anything, yeah. Curtains up, everything's coming up roses. Yeah. I never, in my dizziest, sound like no
Ethel Merman. Auntie Ella, you gonna be banned
Annie, get
from.
your gun.
I never forgot.
She's Annie Oakley.
Annie, yeah. But she was one of those big voice singers. One of those big. I don't know what is wrong with me. I can't seem to focus.
We ain't gonna ask you no more questions anymore at this time.
I'm so sorry. I just can't focus. But I never forgot that. Because I couldn't figure out what it was that I was doing that made him go to that reference. And it stuck with me for a long time, to the point where I lost confidence. I couldn't decide. Well, there were a lot of things too. A lot of the singers, once I decided to switch over to jazz, there were singers who they were making all the money, and because they had these big voices, like Ethel Merman, which I didn't have, which is another reason why I couldn't figure out where that comment came from.
Was it a compliment in disguise?
Well, I don't know what he had intended, but I took it as I think it was insulting to me, because I know that I didn't have any semblance of a sound like that, So it took me a long time to get past that, and I guess I still haven't really gotten past it, because I haven't forgotten it, But I finally had to get to a point where I had to find my own voice and stop trying to be like the other jazz singers that were making all the money at the time. I had to figure out who Gahnt was, and just pursue that, And then I've always loved the music, all kinds of music, So singing with Sisters of Tune was easy, because it reminded me of my roots. It reminded me of the arrangements and the songs and the stuff that we that I developed such a passion for. Because people would listen, on the surface, but I would get into the lines, the harmonies, and what the bass player was playing, and what that's why this man back here, he gives me a fit, because the minute I hear him, I want to climb into the music. It's just.
We got to do a part two. We got to do a part two.
So anyway, that's.
I do want to say.
Yes.
I want to say this. I came from a gospel background.
Can you sing a little gospel?
No, and see, that's the problem. That's the problem. My father was a professional gospel singer, but I was never a gospel singer. I didn't feel like that, because I didn't fit. And I loved everything else. And I love gospel music, but I felt like I could never sing gospel. So I felt like outcast.
What do you think gospel sounds like? Because I hear different things.
Okay, so let me get a little more background. I grew up Kojic, which is Church of God in Christ, and we get a lot of. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of that going on, and I was never.
I can't relate.
I was never that singer. So, and my father is another. That is how they sang. He was a quartet singer. Yeah. So. I felt ostracized. Your
ear is one of the top ears in the industry, period. Like,
I thank you.
Ellen, I will say it.
I have always said, you had, when this.
Yes.
Yes.
Your ear.
When we got to this version of the group, we had the best blend, out of all the different versions that we had. And you had a lot to do with that, because of your ear, the things that we could pass to you.
Give her the worst stuff.
Yeah,
we gave you the worst. We did that on purpose because we knew you could handle it.
Well, I appreciate that.
Because I wasn't going down a note. How about that? I wasn't going down. I wasn't coming down with you, sis.
I appreciate that.
We did you like we did you because we were vocally hazing you because we knew you could handle it.
Yeah. Well, I give credit to my dad. So even if I wasn't a lead vocal, like a gospel singer, he did train my ear very well. Yeah. Little, barely strong enough to walk. I was at the piano and he's plinking stuff through and making us sing harmonies. Mm-hmm. So I do attribute that to him. At the same time, I had along the way, since I wasn't a gospel singer, but I grew up in church, people would tear at me as far as my vocal ability, because they felt like, okay, well, she don't sing like this and she can't run like this, so she's not good enough. And that really just chipped at my confidence badly. And so I lived with that, even as an adult. And when I went to school, I mainly did, because again, yes, all of the gospel choirs and everything, and you pushing and singing and screaming with no technique, no training. But when I went away to college, I sang Baroque. I sang with the choirs there. We had the sight read and things like that. So, I'm learning all of this variety of music, but still no gospel in sight. Now, I sang with the choir when I was away at church, but I just never was a lead singer because it was just like, well, you all right. And the bad thing is, even behind the, oh, go ahead, baby, you all right. We knew what that meant.
Is the Pentecostal sound different from like a Kojic sound? Is it like distinctly, significantly different?
No, Kojic is Pentecostal.
Okay, it's Pentecostal.
It's just, they got gangs.
Oh,
Like,
I didn't say it. I didn't say it.
It's like,
The union member said it, not me.
I got gangs.
So when they come for you on Facebook, they're not bringing me in it. I'm not in it. I'm not in it.
I joked about that for a long time. Like, Kojic is a gang. They
Nah.
like what?
Nah, in Philly, the jazz community is the gang.
Listen, I get it.
I'm sorry.
I'm still not.
She throwing up signs now. Look, she's throwing up signs right now. Can I just say this?
Yeah, tell me about that.
Auntie, I'm sorry. You are a part of that generation, but you have evolved, and you are more evolved than a lot of your peers within the original gangster jazz gang. Because I'm going to tell you, some of them be like, well, if you don't read charts, oh, you don't read? You don't know straight ahead jazz tunes? Oh, wait a minute. Oh, you don't know that song by Billie Holiday? You don't know what key it's in? Oh, you're one of those. Because I remember she was like, are they reading? Because I bring my charts. And she'll have a folder for charts.
Every time.
And she'll come out with the chart. Auntie Ella, who is reading this stuff? Well, my guys, because they are real musicians. And I'm just like, I remember distinctly, and I was so glad to debunk this, and you were the bear witness. I had an original song out. Art, Candlelight. Candlelight was played on the guitar by Erica Glenn. I sang it. We co-wrote it, a part of the Sweet 215 R&B group that we were in 2009. And when I said I want to perform this in this show, a chart was created by a musician. We won't say their name. A chart was made by a musician who has a master's degree in music performance and music education. And this person, that chart was terrible. That chart, I think, like, I don't know who wrote that chart. I don't think he wrote that chart. I don't even know if that was the right chart at all. It just looked like the way he played it, and I was just like, you know what? That's when I started working with Chris. Because I said, bruh, can you listen to this track and just play this track? Because, I mean, he was like, and then the person, he had the...
So everybody that claims that they have charts and write charts, the chart claims they can write charts cannot necessarily, they're not necessarily
The
accurate.
chart was raggedy, Auntie Ella, and he was raggedy trying to pass
But
off
that's
his
what I'm saying.
fugazi chart like it was legit. And I had to shut it down. I was like, yo, I don't even read music. I don't know how to read. I don't know how to read music, but I know that ain't right. My spirit moved me.
And that was based on his perception of the song. He got to hear it first before he can put it down.
Auntie Ella,
So if he
I don't
didn't
even
hear it right.
Did he have ears?
That's my whole point.
Did he have eyes?
That's my point. Everybody, you got these different varying levels of folks that manage charts. And
Auntie
can
Ella,
hear it
the
and
headless
do it.
horseman could have did a better chart than that man, that individual. That man put a chart together, and that's when I realized it's not all about that chart. Some people, when it comes to music, and I can speak to and I can attest to this because I get a lot of respect from musicians and vocalists alike. A lot of disrespect because, you know, people going to have different perspectives. I don't read music, but I can hear and I could emote and I can entertain. And some things can be taught, some things cannot be taught. You cannot, certain skills, some people have credentials, but they don't have the skill to execute. And that was paramount with that person.
Art is hanging his head down like he knows who you're talking about.
Well, you know Arthur McDougall Carr, Dr. McDougall, Duncan McDougall Carr in the back. He is a perfect example of an incredible musician that can emote musically. We never seen a chart, and we did an entire album. And album is still available. I refuse to promote it because I don't believe in the distribution systems, but that's another TED Talk. But nonetheless, did the whole album, not one music degree between all of us. And when I tell you some of the baddest vocals and musicality, I recognize that some people have credentials and they're just not good. It's like being a bad doctor, a bad lawyer. And you're just like, well, that's not really translating in the way that we thought it would. So, and I hate to do this, but we got to wrap it up. Can we do like a quick song? I know. I still smell that food. And Key, you gonna turn your head back? But can we do a little something? Do a little something. Michelle, why you made that face? It's on camera, Michelle. Before we go, I just want to ask one final thing. I didn't get to all the questions, but what's one lesson you wish you learned before you started in this game?
You're talking about the game of music in general or Sisters of Tune in particular?
Either or, both.
For me, the one lesson that I'm still trying to learn is, how to interact.
How to hold a microphone?
Okay, I'll do better. Working with different personalities, just finding a balance between all the different personalities that you have to encounter, and also learning how to be diplomatic but tell your truth, speak your own truth. I'm still working on that.
You still gangsta in my book.
But see, I have to take issue with certain things because the advantage of having, for me, as a jazz vocalist, having the chart, I find musicians that can read the chart and I can get exactly what I want. But I don't use charts all the time. I do a mixture, so that's just, it gives me what I want. It gives me what I need.
I understand.
So.
Okay.
As far as the industry is concerned, stepping out of my shell, and now practicing what I learn on a regular basis, really, so I can be able to step more out of my shell. But for Sisters of Tune, don't your ass be late.
Yes.
Don't be late.
Messing with somebody else's time.
Yes, that for certain, for hands down. Don't let it be 3:01. Don't let it be 2:01. You late. Don't let it be 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock, because you late. You better get there early, because you are on time. So that is a lesson that I definitely had driven home working with you guys.
Shelly Ray.
I would say it definitely takes more than musicality. It takes more than just being able to produce a note. We were talking about this earlier. Being able to engage with the audience from the onset, like what I was talking about even last night, Friday night, I wasn't comfortable with starting the show. What do I say? Well, I sound corny. Well, I did, all of that. And then only once I saw people receiving me, giving me that certain energy, that's when I opened up. But I need to have the confidence to be that at the beginning. And I'm finding that that's still a learning process.
Oh, y'all want me to answer that too?
Yeah.
Like he wasn't answering. I guess, what was the question? Okay, oh, yes, a lesson. I can't treat everybody the same. My propensity and proclivity in business may not translate in all situations. So like the toughness that you guys saw was me being protective of us when I had to negotiate deals and I just wasn't going for certain things. And being a woman, I'm one of the few young black and sexy creative cultural producers in the city in terms of live music performance, where all of the artists, and you can close up on this, Jamie, where all of the performing artists get paid. We make sure to recycle the majority of our organization dollars back into the hands of the individual creative artists, the independent artists. I learned how to manage budgets because that was the issue initially, where we came from, there was no money. And it was just like, oh, we doing these shows and there's no money. And I'm like, nah, I'm trying to be paid. Mm-hmm. So now, you know, when we started Sisters of Tune, I wasn't paying myself for the first several years. So it was several years, everybody else getting paid with me. And after a while, I was just like, I'm not doing that anymore. So the lesson was, I don't care what it is, my money comes off the top first, and then we can allocate appropriately to everyone else. So that is something that I have to learn. And then my personality needs to, I learned a lot about being more tactful with my approach when necessary, and being more cuntsy when I have to be. Because Kevin J will say, Amanda Priestley, Shekhinah, Amanda Priestley. The devil wears Prada. I don't wear Prada, but I may wear a Temu shoe or two. And I'm here to step on the necks of anybody that gets in the way of the ethical, respectful, talented people that's working with me. So I'm just not going for the okey doke. I'm not doing Chitlin Circuit jobs. We are contracted out. I believe in relationships and residencies and not one-off, one-hit-a-quitter situations. So that is what I learned.
I just want to add something and give kudos to Shekhinah. I'm very grateful for this experience.
Me too.
Very. And one, just the sisterhood that we've cultivated over the years.
And the best gossip in the city. I'm sorry.
Yeah. But also you know, I can speak for myself, taught me to raise my standard because, and for some people, you know, a certain level of performance is fine. But one, value myself. And because I value myself, I have to raise that standard, just like how you said with the Chitlin Circuit. And we all...
No shade to the Chitlin Circuit.
Yeah, no shade to them. But, and like I said, it fits for some people.
Yeah.
But I had to realize that for me to go different places, I mean, for me to take the time to, you know, create a website, for me to take the time to pay taxes, for me to take the time to, you know, do all these things, you know, pay people appropriately, make sure that I'm, you know, have a level of integrity that they need. I had to value myself and raise those standards. So I had to learn to say no to certain jobs, because it's just not something that's going to be consistent with the brand I'm trying to make.
And once one person hears that you did something on the cheap, everybody is. It's like being a hoe. It's like once they say you a hoe, everybody gonna think you a hoe, even if you're not a hoe. They like, oh, she a hoe. We gonna just pay her $50. Like, no, that's not gonna work over here. I have a mortgage and I like to get my teeth done. You know, I have things that I need to pay for. Me and my husband, we like to trip. We like to go out on trips, and you know, we just like to live a certain organic lifestyle that requires a certain income threshold that allows us to have a great credit score, you know, a nice cushion. I don't work 12 months out of the year. I work about maybe 9 to 10 months, if that. And I have my downtime where I'm administrating because I'm planning to launch.
Right.
So, yeah. So that requires a level of selectivity. We got to be selective. And now when people see me, they're like, well, Shekhinah, how much they gonna cost to get the girls and get the people? One, there's a link on the website. You can fill that out and we can give you a quote, because I can't give you a price. One, we also need to stop sharing our prices with everybody. Marlon Wayans just recently said, and I'm gonna stop doing it as of today, because normally I would just share that with people. You can't do that, because what I bring to the table may not be what you bring in. So your price can't be Shekhinah B's price, because when Shekhinah B steps in the building and executes, that may not be what the other party may do. So, you know, I can give you a range, but I can't give you the actual price anymore. Starting as of Sunday of April 27, 2025. We won't be doing that. And I'm more selective as well about shows now. They're like, oh, I don't see you perform as much. No, you won't, because I'm behind the scenes collecting my check, sitting at home, eating frou-frou with my husband. And we're hanging out on our sectional watching ghetto movies like we were watching the other night on Tubi. But that's another whole story. That's a whole other story.
Tubi.
I mean, we didn't get into, all right. But before we go, can you put on some sentimental, sexy sounds real quick? I just want to acknowledge these women, and so I step out, I have a little something for you. Oh, give me 1 second.
She's up to something. We don't know what it is. She back there, bringing out her tools and toys and whatever. Ooh, look at the pretty flowers. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you
For the gorgeous flowers. Thank you.
You're welcome. I wanted to give you your flowers.
While we're still here, yeah.
While you're still here.
I'm still here.
I wanted to give you your flowers. While you're still here. Because I really respect each and every one of you. Now, Monica, we just went through a rough patch, but we overcame that rough patch.
Yeah.
And I want to tell you, thank you for being a friend.
Thank you for being a friend.
Even though I chewed you out when you was not my friend. But she says, sis, I know I forgave you.
She needed it.
She said she needed it. And Shelly Ray, I only do you like I do you because I know you can handle it. Don't cry, sis.
She can handle it.
Hey,
She know I cried at the drop of a hat.
don't cry for me, Argentina. And
Ella and her fella sang that crap the other night.
you've been with me since the beginning. We done watched so many people
Come and go, come and go.
come and go, come and go, come and go.
What a world, what a world, what a ride with sisters are two. Sisters are two. Gave me my freedom.
We gave you your freedom, but you had your own freedom. Gave me my value. I love these sisters. I'm gonna tell you right now. Y'all gonna make my face crack. Don't make my
I'm
face
already
crack.
over here crying.
Aw. Yeah, I'm telling people you the OG. I'm gonna sit with my sisters.
It's been a ride, what a ride, what a ride.
I promise you this is not scripted. I promise you. I'm my sister.
Sometimes it comes out of you. How, yeah, especially when you're tired. You ain't had no sleep in days. Sleep for 2 hours. You wake up remembering what you did.
Wanna say thank you.
Thank you.
Wanna say thank you.